public. All right. Well, I kind of like that, but no, we're not. It's not even going to be that. So we are just going to start with date, time, now, get. Date, time, UTC now. Gets the time in UTC. All right. It's the current time. All right. So okay. It knows how to code better than I do. All right, so we will go to the date time service, public, by date time service, add project reference, interface, add project reference. Okay. Import, implement. Time now, UTC now. Gets the current time, gets the current time in UTC. Okay. Delete that, delete that. All right. So, we have a date time service. It implements date time, iDate time service. So both of these are done. And as you can see, we went down from 10 errors to 6 errors. All right, so now here is where we may need to modify something. All right, so the core, it's platform independent. You know what? We don't want to over-engineer this. So the page navigation service is going to have to move to, all right, so refactor move. Flashcard going to create a directory in here. And there's a reason, which I will we have this app, and I page navigation service. And that implements my page navigation service. Move to. Okay. So as you can see, we eliminated another 2 errors. I'm going to create a logging service. And we're going to create an interface logging service. Public. Remove those. Remove those. My logging service. Import that. Right. And as you can see, we're now down to 2. All right, so we have main view model. All right, and add an item. Menu item model. Public. And now we are down to no errors. All by just adding our services, and literally the only service that we actually created was the date time service. Now, there's a reason why we abstracted the date time now and UTC now. Whenever we want to do unit testing, we don't want something that's going to be constantly changing. We want something that's predictable. So if we create a light wrapper around date time now and date time UTC now, we can control what those are when we're doing unit testing. So that part of very good coding is you start thinking with unit tests. So what I am doing here is I'm not writing code. If you notice, I am just creating the skeleton. How we are doing this will be tested when we start. So when we're looking at an app, okay, so we have our main page here, and if you notice, we just have a hub with some sections. I was looking to see if this would be a better layout, but what I'm going to do is be changing that to a pivot control. So, sorry, I'm two-fisted drinking this morning. I've got coffee in one hand and water in the other. Okay, so we're going to change this for pivot. And then pivot item. Okay, so let's auto-type that. Open this up a little bit. Let's just build. And as you can see, we have things that are incompatible, which is fine. As soon as it's done compiling. For anyone out there, I could use a new desktop computer. This particular one was purchased in 2018. So up in the upper right corner, we have a Buy Me a Coffee / Art of Code. Any amount would be appreciated. If you find this content helpful, And I am available for private consultation. My rates are reasonable. Uh, Matter of fact, most people think that I'm too helpful, and my knowledge is and help is extremely valuable. You really can't put a price on. But as you can see, we already have a structure. All right, build succeeded. All right, so we got rid of the little okay. So as you can see, we have a pivot item of latest. So main menu. Let's go ahead and add a pivot item. Support. About. And then let's see. It's been a while since I've actually thought about an app. So let's break this down. All right, so I think what we're going to do is do this. Instead of main menu, teach review and practice. And then we will have about. Let's see. Okay. So, now if you notice, we have a lot of repeating stuff here. So what we're going to do is we're going to analyze this. And if you notice, teach, review, practice, and about. So these are modes. Since this is going to be an alphabet, you're going to have a page that is going to teach the child the letters of the alphabet. And then teach will have maybe a list of letters, and then that list of letters, you'll select a letter, and then it will go to that letter's page so that they can help the child understand, okay, what is the name of this letter? What is its shape? That way they recognize the letter. So, and then review. So, this will have a title. Finding title. Mode equals one way. And since it's text, we don't need a converter. Style is dot. All right, let's actually put a stack panel. That way each one Okay. So we're going to go to assets. And we're going to add artwork. And then copy, paste. Okay. And we're going to do assets, artwork, each. Now, if you want to see what this looks like, we'll put it outside of the pivot. And as you can see, we have a very large image. And of course, since there's no text, but we will worry about that. But that's essentially what we're trying to go for. So it'll be a stack panel with a title, a description, and then underneath it, an image. Now, as you can see, it makes up full width. So this actually will be a page. And then the page will go to another page. So that's where the page navigation service comes in. We have our pivot that lets you navigate through the different choices. So what we will do is set up our page so let me go to content, audio. All right. So add new folder. Audio. copy, paste. All right, so let's open with media player. That is default. What? Open.
You can do it.
Okay, so we need to replace those, but for now we've got, that was the try again. So we have our audio, we have our artwork, and now we need to go to teach, open with notepad, okay, so what I am going to do is bring in wow. All right, so we're going to go add a teach page. Add an item, actually, add new from template, all templates. Add new item, show all pages. There we go. Then UI, my page, teach page. All right, so as you can see, everything was put in the root. But what I am going to do is add a new folder, control. the styles are not present because it was designed for a phone, and that phone definition does not exist. But let's open with Notepad. Just a second. What we're going to do is copy Oh, this was the teach page. Why did this get put here? All right. And then let's go ahead and go to the flashcard control. All right, we've got most of this. Hear me star control. So we need to add another star control. Hear me star. The items used. And then hear me star control. Star visibility converter. Okay, so the app XAML has a star visibility, has a visibility converter. Okay, so we have another page called match page. Let's go ahead and place that. We're not going to put ads in this application. And as you can see, we have star visibility converter, here means build main card text visibility. All right, so since this is UI only, instead of going into core, it's going to go into the main app. So we're going to create a new folder called converter. So we have control and we have converter. to add new item, code, class, main card, text, visibility, converter. Public high value converter. You know what? I'm not even going to copy the whole thing. And the convert back is not file. Okay. All right. So we have our error list. Build. Create event handler. All right. Let's go to the next list. Next. Create event handler. All right. So the error list again. As you can see, it's getting very failed. This is expected. Import. Okay, so star visibility converter is probably in the here. Okay, so star visibility is most likely in a file I have not yet. Okay, so we have another converter to add. New item, star visibility converter. Public value converter. Okay, so same thing here. Remove those. All right, so go to the error list. On create a key like this. All of these event handlers are just placeholders. tell some of this stuff is repetitive, but we are working our way through it. I'm renaming these because the proper is on, then the main on, and then the name of the button or the name of the control, and then the verb. And that way all of the on are all grouped together. So you have a section in your code that is specifically, and if you name it on and then your card name or your control name, they're also grouped together by control. So in other words, in your code, all of the main card buttons are going to be listed together. See, this pattern keeps your code easy to read. Because some people will say, well, I want it with a different name, or I want to put it at the top of the file because it's important. No. Bad programmer. Stop it. There's reasons that you have code written in a certain way. So as you can see, all of the, I'm going to save all. I'm going to accept that. All right, so let's go back, add another. I'm just going to change the names right now. I think that'll be it. Okay, so now we're going to refactor this in a little bit, but we want to get it to where we have a UI that's functional. Okay, so you should be able to build build succeeded. Okay. Ooh. Voila. Okay, so as you can see, there's some parts to this that, all right, so you have two different cards here, one card here with a star. Then you have cards over here. Pardon me. Had to sneeze. So this animates upward. It was a very, very simple animation. It was supposed to appear as though balloons were just floating up and congratulations, you know. Because when you're teaching kids, they like to be praised and they like it to be fun. So animation helps with that. So, as you can see, there is a rectangle. Okay, so as you can see, phone accent brush could not be resolved. We will work on, there are, matter of fact, right, phone accent brush. Let's go ahead and just add it. System accent color. Okay, so that'll give us all right, so if we go back now, see, now we have better. So actually, if you notice, all of the buttons and panels and everything have names. There's a reason to give a name to a control or an element is if you want to address that element in code. So this just means that we haven't referenced these items in code yet because we haven't actually written any code. So we have all of our elements, and on a typical screen, we would have sign height 1920 as you can see, so if I brought this back down to half, that would be $960. Yeah, 960. Design width, half of that would be 540. And as you can see already, it's looking a lot more like a phone resolution. And that's the reason why I set it up as the design height and design width. It's not actually going to look like this on the screen because your console is typically in landscape mode, not portrait. Portrait is used for your phone, which is held in a different orientation. So, what I am going to do is I'm going to support both. Because, but to get this functional, I need to make it pretend that it is in portrait mode. So right now we're just working on this. So as you can see, these are going to basically start down here and float up. And this section at the bottom, so this is the card answer, card answer, card answer, card answer, and this is you press this and it gives you an audio cue, and then you press the one that you think matches this audio cue. That's how this flashcard works. Yes, I know. It was weird trying to figure out how to make a flashcard for teaching sounds. But I also have teaching of colors the same way. And that is in an app called My Bubbles. So in that, there is a whole bunch of bubbles floating around on the screen. And you're given at the top which one is to be popped next. Sort of like Tetris. You know, it basically tells you, but as you get the visual cue. Let's say yellow. You have to find a yellow bubble on the screen, tap it to pop it. And so it will call out yellow. And it will show the yellow, and then at the top of the screen, you'll see the yellow bubble, and then you tap it in the play area to pop it. And so it will tell you, all right, now a red one, now a green one. And so they teach you how to recognize the colors by sound, by visual, and then it had different modes. So once you understood or recognized the color names, you no longer had the visual cue of the button at the bubble at the top of the screen. So it would just say red, and the child would then have to go and look for a red bubble. So it teaches them what the colors are, and then it gives them the opportunity to try it on their own. See, at the beginning, you want to give them 2 clues so that they can hear, oh, I need to look for a red one, and then I hear the word red. It actually works very well. So that's what I am going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, is I'm going to be bringing back my bubbles for the Xbox. I know it's going to be weird because it's not a touch screen. So I'm going to probably have a different method. And maybe instead of them floating on the screen, maybe they will have a like panel at the bottom, and you use the thumbstick or D-pad to move back and forth amongst all of the different colors, and it will tell you which one to press, and then when you press it, then the bubble, let's say, rises to the top and floats away. Something like that. I'm still trying to think of, okay, how am I going to do this? Especially for where you're not going to be able to chase them around the screen. But you still want to have a fun activity for the child to do. So, let's see. All right, so Another thing that, if you notice, I have been saying there is an audio, a visual, and an activity. So, in order for us to truly um, make this a testable app, we need to create all right, so what I am going to do, now, when I said that I was over-engineering it, ultimately, I'd like to keep this flashcards core with most of the business logic. That being said, I'd like, you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do, as I am going to over-engineer this. Okay, so we are going to add a new item. This is the interface. I sound service. Add class. Sound service. Okay, so the sound service is going to play sounds. So each sound that we're interested in is going to basically have to be registered. All right, now but we're also going to have a service in here called Windows Sound Service. Now remember how I said that we are going to over-engineer this? Public class. All right. So let me universal. Okay. Community toolkit. Okay. Let me make sure that we have the Windows Sound Service is going to listen for Messenger messages. So community toolkit guess we'll have to put up with. All right. Come on. There we go. So that is already installed. Okay. And you know how we've got the messenger or the code, um, the click buttons and or the click methods. We're going to change that to commands so that our view model can respond through relay commands. So now that I've so we'll be able to create the Windows sound service that will listen for messages. So that's where we're going to leave off for this episode and come back and we will continue this application. And don't forget, like, subscribe, share it with others. And if you like the content, go ahead and visit Buy Me a Coffee at Art of Code. Have a good one, guys, and I will see you next time.